Hello, I'm Dr. Brandt Gibson, and today I want to give you a little bit more information on vitamin B1 or thiamine. This is a very important one. I'm excited because I could actually, with the board, I can actually give you a little bit more information that you may be able to understand a little quicker. So vitamin B1 is a very, very important vitamin, and it's known as thiamine. Let me make this bigger here. We'll get this over so you can actually see what's going on here. It's required by the body to properly utilize carbohydrates. So this is all cells of the body require it for carbohydrates, but it also is required by the nerve cells for the energy that's necessary through the utilization of carbohydrates, of course. It's the energy that's necessary to really be able to synthesize nucleic acids, that's DNA, RNA, and neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters, as you remember, are the things that we actually utilize to communicate between nerves, or for the nerves to communicate with the brain. Without the neurotransmitters, the nerves cannot function. So if they aren't able to synthesize the neurotransmitters, it won't work. And the last thing that it helps with is the myelin sheath. Myelin is actually the cells that wrap the neuron that allow it to function. So if you remember, here, let's move this down here. If you remember, you've got a nerve cell. Sorry, we forgot to get so we could actually draw. You've got a nerve cell. Should make that that'll make that a circle. Okay, and in this nerve cell, you've got the nucleus inside, and you got multiple organelles, including the mitochondria. You've got dendrites coming in, and then you got a long axon going out. That its job is to communicate. On these larger nerves, what you get is you get a little cells, myelin sheath, that wraps this cell, or wraps this axon, and then you can get the communication between it like this, right? And so the idea is that with this communication, you've actually got the myelin sheath. So if you don't have the myelin sheath, you don't have a functional nerve. It actually slows it down. It doesn't get as strong a communication, and you start to get some of the problems that can happen from a malfunctioning nerve. Now, I apologize about the rough part of that nerve. I didn't think I was going to talk about nerves that directly today, so I didn't pull a picture up. So how do we get thiamine in our system? The easiest way, of course, to get thiamine is in our foods, in the way that we eat. So if you get it the way that you eat, you could actually get different kinds of situations where you can actually get it in whole grains, especially rye. So whole wheats, whole rye, those kind of things actually are very valuable sources of this thiamine. Cereal grains, especially in the United States and some of these other first world countries, have thiamine added in a lot of cases. So the cereal grains, you're going to actually similarly get the thiamine you need. You get it in oatmeal, flax, and sunflower seeds. You get it in brown rice. You're going to get it in asparagus, spinach, green peas, kale, cauliflower, potatoes, oranges. You're going to get it in liver, especially beef, pork, and chicken. You're going to get it in soy milk, eggs, and some fish. So there's a lot of different sources, and a lot of times you can get sufficient there. The problem is thiamine itself is only absorbed through a active transport. So what that means is on the cell wall, when you get the cell wall, you've got the cell wall. You get the cell wall of the intestine, and what you need is you need something on that cell wall, a little transport mechanism that can actually bind with it and then move it through. If this transport mechanism isn't working correctly, or if it's damaged in some way, then it's not going to be transported, and you're going to get less thiamine just because you don't have it, right? Just because you aren't actively transporting it through. For that reason, a lot of times we're going to actually use a different substance instead of thiamine. We're going to use benfotiamine. And if you look at this, benfotiamine is very similar in its structure to thiamine. It's not exactly the same, and that's a good thing, because what happens with benfotiamine is this actually is much more bioavailable. It gets into the system a lot easier. Let's go into that a little bit here. So the best form of vitamin B1 is benfotiamine. And the reason why is because it gets in the system at a higher rate. In fact, they've shown that it's 5 times more bioavailable. 5 times. So if you take 1 benfotiamine, 1 milligram of benfotiamine and 1 milligram of thiamine, you're going to get 5 times more of benfotiamine in the system as thiamine than you will thiamine itself, just because it's not actively transported, doesn't need to be. And let me explain to you why. So you've got a brush border on the intestine. This is the kind of the border, and as the benfotiamine comes into that, it is modified to S-benzothiamine. You don't need to remember that. It's not important. All it means is that because of this modification, it passes through biological membranes really easily. So it passes through the intestine wall, it passes into cells, all this kind of a lot easier than, say, thiamine does. And so you get more, 5 times more bioavailability or availability of the vitamin in the system. And then once it gets into the bloodstream, it's converted into active thiamine. So you get benfotiamine that's modified, gets in the bloodstream, and then is modified to thiamine and becomes 5 times more bioavailable. So you get significantly more. So that's the reason why when I say, okay, we want thiamine, we have a vitamin B1 deficiency, we want you to get that through benfotiamine. And let me make sure you understand something here. So the dosage that you're going to want, the dosage that you want on a daily basis of benfotiamine is going to be 150. Come on. Didn't change for me. 50 to 300 milligrams a day. 150 to 300 milligrams a day. And the idea here is that this amount can be done once a day, but it's recommended because it's water soluble and it's going to be washed out of the system quickly. It's recommended that you do it twice a day. So do it morning and night. You're going to get the best amount of thiamine, and it's going to be 5 times greater availability than if you were to do it in thiamine itself. So don't take thiamine. If you look at your vitamins, you say, I'm taking a B complex and it has thiamine in it. Know that by taking or changing that to benfotiamine, you're going to get a lot more thiamine in the system. It's going to be more beneficial. It's going to help the cells, all cells in the body function better, but especially it's going to help with the synthesis of nucleic acids, neurotransmitters, and the myelin, which just in those 3 substances are going to significantly improve the way that your nerves function. That is the reason why benfotiamine typically is considered neuroprotective. It keeps the nerves from getting damaged because it's repairing the nucleic acids. It's producing more neurotransmitters, and it's producing and repairing the myelin sheath by creating more myelin cells. This is Dr. Brandt Gibson, and this is your Neuropathy Nugget Day 331. Benfotiamine, or vitamin B1, as an important substance for peripheral neuropathy. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.